Welcome to this week's episode of Ant on Music. I'm your host, Ant. And, if you can tell from my shirt, I'm still kind of mourning the fact that Aerosmith has hung it up. They're going to no longer, they're going to cease touring operations, I guess is the best way to say it. Whether or not they're going to put any more music out, that's another story. Steven Tyler's voice is pretty much shot. And instead of, subjecting fans to poor vocals and a poor performance, he'd rather hang it up. And Stephen was always one to give 100%. So that's the reason for the T-shirt. If you take a look at the listening wall behind me, you might gather a guess as to what I'm going to talk about this week. And actually, I'm only going to talk about one new release. It's a box set, but before we get to that, got to do a little housekeeping as I always do. If you're back, thank you so much for coming back. I appreciate you coming back week after week and listening to me talk about music. If you're new here, you're welcome. You're welcome to stay as long as you'd like. Hopefully, the longer the better. I'd appreciate if you'd click that subscribe button down below. Also, click like, share it across other platforms, and drop a comment. I love the conversations I have with everybody. And give me some ideas for shows, something you'd like me to talk about. I know that I'm finally going to get around to it eventually as far as showing you my my music room, a whole and entire, because you always see this view when I'm doing this. And also, I'm going to go through, my setup as far as how I listen to all this great stuff. So this is pretty much it's a 99% CD only type of week, but I do have one piece of vinyl to show you, and this is going to give away right away who we're talking about this week. We are talking about not the Small Faces, but mainly the Faces. So, believe it or not, this is a first press of their first album. It's one of the rarities I have in my collection, and take a look at the back. It's on pretty sturdy cardboard. It is a gatefold, all right? Picture the band there. And this is when kind of had all the forces were in the right place at the right time. And with that, you had Steve Marriott had left the Small Faces, and he went off to form Humble Pie. That left an opening which Rod Stewart and Ron Wood would fill. Rod and Ronnie were playing with Jeff Beck Group. Believe it or not, if you're unfamiliar, Ronnie was on bass at the time, so this allowed him to add two more strings to his axe and get to chopping. And they joined the Small Faces, and shortly afterward, they became the Faces. I guess they, for continuity reasons, or maybe to cash in, the record label decided to release the first album, this album, with the Faces as a fivesome as opposed to a foursome, as the Small Faces. And like I said, it's a gatefold. The album itself is basic black. Check out the old labels on here. All right, the old Warner Brothers labels. Check that out. All right. And, it comes with an inner sleeve, just some photos, very little info on here as well. But this is where everything kicked off for the Faces. Started off as the Small Faces, chopped the name and became bigger as well. Faces, one of those bands, obviously I was real little when the Faces were about, but from all the video I've seen and all the stories I've heard, much like their brethren, which Ron would end up joining the Rolling Stones and the guys in Aerosmith, these guys sure did know how to have a good time, and the Black Crowes. I hear a lot of the Faces in the Black Crowes as well. So this is their first album. On here you have Wicked Messenger, which is a Dylan tune, Devotion, which was by Ronnie Lane, Shake, Shudder, Shiver by Wood and Lane, Stone by Lane, Around the Plinth, which is still played by Rod Stewart when he goes out and does the rock end of things, Flying, another classic tune from the Small Faces, Pineapple and the Monkey, Nobody Knows, Looking Into the Window, and 3-button hand-me-down suit. which is a cool tune. So, talking about the Faces, right? Good place to start with the Faces, if you're unfamiliar and you can find this, is the Faces box set, Five Guys Walk Into a Bar. This is not the box set we're going to look at, but not the new box set we're going to look at, I should say. This is a great compilation. You got 4 discs. Got this book that's part of the packaging itself. Got some great pictures of the band back in the day. And as I said, they had a lot of fun. They were, very bluesy, kind of folksy, definitely rock and roll. And they put out, in a short amount of time, they had a boatload of fun and they put out some great records. And this was done simultaneously at certain points with Rod Stewart maintaining a solo career. Great thing to pick up if you've not gone into Rod Stewart that much, and if you can find it. This is one of the very first box sets that I ever bought. This is the Rod Stewart Anthology Storyteller, and it covers from 64 to 1990, so complete up until 1990. And you can tell I've had this a long time. It's a little beaten up. It's another 4-disc set. Got this book in there as well, and you've got these 4, like the 4 eras of Rod Stewart going on there in the covers of each of the CDs. And you have stuff that was done with the Faces on here and solo. One of the things that I thought was cool, and I'm always one to say something if I think something should be re-released. Something that needs to be re-released and re-released on vinyl like yesterday is the Rod Stewart Unplugged and Seated album when he did MTV Unplugged with Ronnie Wood and Company. Fantastic album. If you can find that one, pick it up. If you can't find it, download it. Great performance. So you have this, and this covers pretty much Rod's entire career from, stuff that he did with Beck, stuff that he did with Steam Packet, which was another one of his bands in the 60s. And it goes all the way up to his remakes of This Old Heart of Mine, which he originally did with the Faces, and Downtown Train. And there's, everything you want here. Stone Cold Sober, Tonight's the Night, First Cut is a Deepest, You Wear It Well, Twisting the Night Away, What Made Milwaukee Famous has made a loser out of me. I Know I'm Losing You, Reason to Believe, Maggie May, one of my favorites, Handbags and Glad Rags, sensational song, and Gasoline Alley. So, we've covered that much so far. Let's keep going, all right? Here's something, little CD that I also think is worth searching out. This is a Japanese import, and it's a tribute album to Rod Stewart, okay? And, like I said, Japanese import. It never saw a proper release here in the States, as far as I know, and it's called Forever Mod. Notice you got a soccer ball there. Somehow that is not Rod Stewart playing soccer. I don't know exactly who that is, but who cares? So this little Japanese release is basically like a who's who of heavy metal and hair metal from, the late 80s, early 90s. You see everybody. Whoops, almost dropped the OBI. It's got the OBI there. All right, I've kept that for all these years. And if you look really close, I'll try and hold it still. You can see everybody that's listed on here. And a couple of songs really stand out to me. Some of them, vocally I'm not thrilled with. I can see why they made the picks, but still doesn't work for me. Obviously, a lot of stuff written in Japanese, and you do have the English translation in there as well, luckily. So who's on this and what did they do? All right, so you have Joey Allen of Warren, Andy Anderson, Sebastian Bach, obviously of Skid Row fame at this point, Carlos Cavazo of Quiet Riot, Gilby Clarke of Kill for Thrills. That's one we have to talk about one day. Went on to be in Guns N' Roses. John Corabi, the Crab, now of the Dead Daisies, used to be part of Motley Crue for one fantastic album that's very underrated. Bob Daisley from Ozzy's band, Kelly Deal, Warren DeMartini of Rat, CeCe DeVille of Poison, Billy Duffy of The Cult, Jimmy Kotak, rest in peace, who played with the Scorps. Bruce Kulick, Janie Lane, the late great Janie Lane, Robin McCauley of MSG, Eddie Money, Stephen Piercy of Rat, Jeff Pilson of Dokken, Paul Shortino of Rough Cut, Eric Singer of Kiss, Matt Sorum of Guns N' Roses and The Cult and Velvet Revolver, Phil Susan, Spike, Matt Thorne, and Lawrence Tolhurst, and there are others. So this is a cool little tribute album. There was a lot of tribute albums that they did back at this point. You have Spike on here doing Dynamite, Gasoline Alley with Crab on it, John Corabi. It's really pretty damn good. I Know I'm Losing You with Stephen Piercy on vocals. That's one of the ones that kind of hits me sideways. I don't think Stephen has the voice for that particular Rod Stewart tune. Reason to Believe with Eddie Money. It's another one that I feel kind of, meds and meds about. For those of you that aren't Italian, that's kind of like in between. Every Picture Tells a Story with Robin McCauley of MSG. You're in My Heart with Shortino on vocals. And my favorite from this one, Janie Lane doing I Was Only Joking, which is a great tune, very underrated in Rod's catalog. Stay With Me with Spike again, and on with this. So let's get to the reason that everybody's here for, and that's something new. What would it be if I didn't have something new to show you, especially a box set? I am like the undisputed king of all box sets. Yeah, I have a boatload of box sets. One day soon you're going to see. So, what do we got going on here? Look at this goodness right there. The Faces at the BBC, the official Faces, 8 CDs and Blu-ray. The Faces still the best rock and roll band in the world for those of us who really care. That's from DJ over in England, John Peel. Every Faces BBC concert and rare BBC sessions, newly remastered. Now, if you go back to a couple of my record store day shows, you'll see them up there. Faces BBC stuff. On the Faces box set, you get about 4 or 5 tracks from the BBC. This right here is the mother load. This is everything. Now, I listened to the digital download of this, and I've kept the opening up of it to share with everybody. So we're going to open in a second, but here's the front, obviously with the hype sticker right there. There is the back with the monstrous track listing. Let's check it out. Let's open it up and see what it's doing. All right. So what we're going to do here is peel this off real quick. I am going to try and save the hype sticker without tearing it. We'll take a look at what is contained therein. This awesomeness known as the Faces, one of the best bluesy, boozy bands to ever hit a bar. Got the line of Kenny Jones, Ronnie Lane, Ian McClagan, Rod Stewart, and Mr. Ronnie Wood. And let's take a look. And like I said, it's a monster set. Give you another look at the cover there. Since we have the hype sticker up, you can see the whole band in a live setting, probably from BBC, I would assume. And, there is quite a bit of repetition on this. The Faces career was rather short. Basically 69, 70, 72, 73, and they were done. So we open it up. Got a picture of the band, and on the inner point of the outer cover, we have the first 4 discs. And then, this is where they have the book contained therein. Not a hardcover book, but soft cover. Still very, very nice. Picture of the boys in the band. And on the back as well. Let's take a look. All right. Just take a look. Contents, introduction, and producer's note. Had me a real good time at the BBC. The Man from Auntie. Interview with BBC in concert. When are the Faces on? A complete guide to the Faces at the B between 70 and 74. Faces at the BBC, complete concert and session recording from 70 and 74 in the credits. And there he is, Rod the Mod in all his glory. Got some quotes there from the band. You have Mr. Stewart. John Peel, what a legend and what a guy. What an extraordinary mandolin player. Not many people know that. Mr. Peel once joined us on stage during the top of Pops playing a mandolin, or should I say miming. He actually couldn't play a note, bless him. Yes, folks, me and the boys will be always indebted to the great JP, John Peel. Where's Mr. Wood? The faces could do no wrong in John Peel's eyes. Pretty much in my eyes, too. He absolutely worshipped the ground we walked on and the music and the confusion that we presented to him. We dearly miss him. May his legendary radio work live on. So, a couple of quotes from the new boys in the band, Ronnie and Rod, and the others are there as well. And you've got, all the essays they said are contained within. Take a quick look at a couple of the pictures, then we'll talk about what's on this damn thing. All right. So, what's on this? Like they said, it's Truth in Advertising. Every BBC session of the faces on BBC. And like I said, there is a lot of repetition. But what do we got? You're My Girl, I Don't Want to Discuss It. And this is from a concert on John Peel's Sunday concert on July 5th of 70. Wicked Messenger, Devotion, It's All Over Now, I Feel So Good. Country Comfort, which is Elton John tune. You're My Girl, I Don't Want to Discuss It Again. Now this is from a few months later in November of 1970. Too Much Woman for a Henpecked Man. And here's where you have your first hint of Ron Wood going to the Stones. They do a version of Street Fighting Man. And one of the things that always drew me to the Faces was the next tune. They do a phenomenal cover of Paul McCartney and Wings, Maybe I'm Amazed. Absolutely love their version of it. Also on here, you have Around the Plinth, Country Honk, Into Gasoline Alley, which Rod Stewart still does. It's one of my favorite tunes by them. Other stuff you have on here, Cut Across Shorty, great tune, great tune. Love in Vain, Bad and Ruin, It's All Over Now, Had Me a Real Good Time. I Know I'm Losing You, also on that Rod Stewart box set. Three Button Hand Me Down, Maybe I'm Amazed Again, Too Much Woman for a Henpecked Man, Street Fighting Man, Miss Judy's Farm. And continuing on and on. Like I said, Cindy Incidentally, Angel, True Blue, I'd Rather Go Blind, Twist in the Night Away. I'm trying to see what other tunes they have on here that I haven't mentioned. Jealous Guy, Stay With Me. How could you forget Stay With Me? Fantastic song. And then you have, CDs, 7 and 8. And then on the Blu-ray, it's Sounds for Saturday, all right? And you have Three Button Hand Me Down, Maybe I'm Amazed, Too Much Woman for a Henpecked Man, Street Fighting Man, Miss Judy's Farm, Love in Vain, Stay With Me, and I'm Losing You. So this one just came out, and it's through BBC and Rhino. If you want to check it out, I'm going to dig into it this week. Like I said, on the the physical product, I've been listening to it in my earbuds for the past probably 2-3 days, and I dig it. But then again, I am jaded. I try to keep everything here positive. You're not going to really see me give too much negativity about anything, unless of course it's something that really drives me bananas or drives me nuts. But then again, why would you fill your life with negative, with negativity? It's like, I get the stuff because I like it. I'm not going to go out and pick up something I know I don't like. Yeah, every now and again I'll find something that's kind of a stinker in a bunch of in somebody's catalog. But whatever, that does happen. But the Faces, like Mr. Peel said, they can do no wrong, and I'm of that ilk. So that's everything I have for you this week. Faces at the BBC. Thank you so much for coming and checking out the channel. I really do appreciate. And subscribe. You need to subscribe to the channel. That's what I need. I need people to subscribe. I need subscribers. So thanks so much for checking it out. Thank you for coming back week after week. I'll be back next week. I don't know what I'm going to do. There's a lot of stuff that I've got coming in, stuff that I've picked up, but I wanted to give the devils their due. And that's pretty much it. All I have to say at this point is peace, one love, keep listening to some great music. I'm out.